And now, words of higher intelligence with Adam Carriker.
I received a tweet the other day, and this individual simply asked, "How do you tweet during the game?"
You are serious right now. You're not kidding me. Somebody actually tweeted you and said, how is it that you can tweet during the games?
Yes, and the sad part is it's not the only time. It's not the first. It's not even the second. It's the third, maybe the fourth time I have received said tweet, said question throughout this season. And I finally, I smiled, then I laughed out loud, and now it's. I had to say something.
Wow.
I had to point it out.
That is less of a words of higher intelligence. What you've just delivered is a public service announcement. So we have done our part.
It is just complete irony, is what it is.
This is Fourth and Pain, as I said, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He's Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Word.
Mr. PSA. I'm former wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. This, the aforementioned Fourth and Pain. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain. Like us on Facebook. And whatever else you do, my goodness gracious, have lunch with us each and every weekday at noon, fourthandpain.com. Fresh content, as always, low calorie, high energy, low, high. There's a short joke in there somewhere.
No, I'm going to leave it alone. You're awfully sensitive.
I am today, aren't I? But this is Fourth and Pain, and we've talked about pros. We've talked about pro wrestling this week with Mickey James, but today is all about college football. This is a college football palooza. If you are a fan of Saturday afternoons, you are going to love this show because, Adam, as I've understand it, you have gone through, taken the time painstakingly, and come up with the solution to the BCS woes.
I have. I love watching college football. It's the most exciting thing to watch. I prefer playing in the NFL just because you're playing against the best, but college football is fun to watch, but it drives me nuts. As fun as it is, they have the worst system as far as pairing together good teams at the end of the year and finding their champion.
And we're going to touch on that. We're going to get your newly, freshly unveiled system as the show moves on. But I want to start with the Heisman Trophy race. The finalists are out. The award going to be handed out this weekend. Here are your finalists. Absolutely no surprise. K-State's Colin Klein, Notre Dame's Manti Te'o, and then the freshman Johnny Manziel, Texas A&M. Adam, I think right now we should give our Heisman Trophy picks. For me, it's very clear-cut, very evident. You need to eliminate Johnny Manziel right away. Had a phenomenal season. This guy has put up unbelievable numbers, but at the end of the day, he's a freshman. Boom, take him out of the equation. That leaves you with Colin Klein, Manti Te'o, and I know you don't subscribe to this theory. He is the best player on the best team in the nation. Ergo, in my homer view, he should get the Heisman. Plus the fact, there was that whole story about his girlfriend and his grandmother tragically being lost earlier in the year. So there's the heartstring element. It's just a recipe for a beautiful movie.
There's more holes in your theory than a see-through T-shirt. First of all, Johnny Manziel's a freshman. Should we not let him play on the football team?
I'm not
saying
saying
he's a
that.
freshman, so you can't play.
I'm not
so
saying
he
that.
can't win awards.
I'm
He
not
can't be
saying
first
that.
team All-SEC. He can't win the Heisman. Just because he's a freshman, just get rid of him.
He's eligible for every award except the Heisman.
What kind of sense does that make?
It makes perfect sense in my world.
Explain it. Why does it make sense?
Because it's not fair. Somebody's been in school for 4 years, busted their tail for 4 years, maybe even 5 if they redshirted. You can't have a punk kid come in and snatch that award away from him. A punk kid
went into Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and stuck it to Nick Saban.
Do you know
that
who
is
did
anything
that?
but
Do you
punk.
know who went into Tuscaloosa and stuck it to Nick Saban? A punk kid.
Okay, see-through T-shirt. The bottom line is, it's not about how long you've been around. It's not about what you did in your career. That's part of it. That's just part of being the human element of the voters. But the fact of the matter is, it's the most outstanding football player in America. Manti Te'o is a great story. Probably, if you want to go with the best story of the football season, it's probably Manti Te'o. He's not even the best defensive player in America. There's Clowney out of South Carolina who has 13 sacks. There's Jarvis Jones out of Georgia who has 12 sacks. And they're both going to be drafted way higher than Manti Te'o. And not that should dictate who gets these trophies. But he's not even the best defensive player. How can he be the most outstanding player? And I hate I hate the best player on the best team. And normally it's not even the best player, it's the best offensive player. I'm so glad we've gotten away from that. Thank you, Robert Griffin III. Thank you, Johnny Manziel. When you win the trophy on Saturday night. And Manti Te'o, here's what Manti Te'o, he's a first-round draft pick. He is a really good football player. He is a great story. He is the second most outstanding football player in America.
Second.
And yes, here's my issue with Te'o, and I have to be careful because he went through a tragedy. A couple people died in his family, and that's something tough to deal with. But before that, I had no idea who he was. You did, because you're a Notre Dame homer.
Absolutely.
All day long. You know nothing about anything else except for the Ashburn News and Notre Dame. Outside of this, you know nothing.
I'm a big subscriber to the Ashburn Gazette. Thank you.
That's great. But what I'm saying is when it comes to national news and I ask you questions, you have no clue. And this surprised me at first. Now I'm, well, frankly, I answer your questions. But the bottom line is Manti Te'o is a great story, went through a tragedy, and he became a media darling because of it. I'm sorry he had to go through it, but that doesn't make him the most outstanding football player in America. It makes him the best story. Johnny Manziel went into Tuscaloosa, went into Alabama, stuck it to Nick Saban, stuck it to the overrated SEC. The whole A&M team did, and he's the most outstanding football player. It does not matter that he's a freshman.
But Colin Klein has put in 4 years of hard work. I don't know.
It's not a career. It's not a career. It's most outstanding football player this year.
But the people that are going to be voting for this award, the people that are on the Heisman panel.
Did you know Colin Klein before this year?
Of course not. But,
so then how can you talk about his
if
career
I'm on
anyways?
the
That
panel,
makes no sense.
Here's the thing, and you may think that I'm crazy, but here's the thing. If I feel this way, there are going to be others who do have a Heisman vote that feel the same way.
You didn't even know who he was for this year, so how are you going to talk
It
about his whole
doesn't
career?
matter.
It does matter. You didn't know who he was.
It does. It matters because
K-State could have had a little short guy running around with green ears for all you knew a quarterback. You had no clue.
all I need to see is what year he is. That's all. If I see a SR dot next to it as opposed to FR dot, I'm going to vote for SR dot all day.
You can make an argument for Manti Te'o if you want. I think he's a great story. I think he's a great kid, and I don't think he's the best defensive player. But the thing is, Colin Klein, what he did at Baylor, what happened at Baylor, what happened to him, that knocked him out. He deserves to go to New York, and he's there, but he's going to be number 3. He's not even in the debate to win it.
What would surprise you most on Saturday?
If Colin Klein won it.
Really?
That would surprise me most.
Okay, now you think, I mean, in your heart of hearts, if you had a vote, it seems apparent that you're going to go with Johnny Manziel.
Well, yeah.
But in
He's
your
the most
heart of
outstanding
hearts,
player.
in your heart of hearts, do you actually believe he is going to win on Saturday?
Yes.
You honestly believe that?
Unlike you, I actually, I take my head out of the sand and I look at what happens in the world outside of Ashburn, and 3 out of every 4 reporters that I see on Around the Horn, PTI, the first take show, almost all of them are picking Johnny Manziel. There's a couple guys here and there picking Manti Te'o. I've not seen one pick Colin Klein.
Okay. Am I that off base in saying that you should give maybe priority to an upperclassman as opposed? Basically, what I'm trying to say is do you honestly believe that I'm the only one that feels that way?
I don't believe you're the only one. No.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're by yourself. What I'm saying is if it's a tie, you're going to go with the upperclassman. It is not a tie. He is clearly above Colin Klein. What he did at Alabama and what happened to Colin Klein at Baylor clearly puts him above. It's between him and Te'o. And my issue with Te'o is the fact that I don't even think he's the best football player in America. So how can he be the most outstanding player in America? I'm sorry, best defensive player. I apologize. So how can he be the most outstanding?
Suppose then it does go to Johnny Manziel. He is just a freshman.
He is.
What does that mean for the rest of his college career? The expectations surrounding this kid are going to be so high. That's an inordinate amount of pressure. I actually think it may be detrimental to him to win this award.
You're right. I'm not saying it's good for his career. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying he deserves to win it this year. The thing about the Heisman is it was always the best offensive player on the best team. That's who won it for the most part, exception Darren Woodson and a few others. But Tim Tebow kind of broke that mold. When he won it, Florida was 9-3. And he was the first ever sophomore to win it. And then Mark Ingram won it the next year. Again, a sophomore. So we're breaking these molds. And then Robert Griffin last year, not on the best team in the nation, but he was the most outstanding player. So we're breaking these molds, and Johnny Manziel is going to break that mold of being the first freshman ever to win it. Adrian Peterson almost won it. He got second. I forget who he lost to, but he did get second. He almost won it.
Bring up a good point there. You make a valid argument.
Lost to Leinart.
That's well, I think just looking at the pros, we see who had the better career. Uh,
Well, I wasn't going to talk about that. Dagger.
yeah, well, that's why I'm saying, like, if I'm Johnny Manziel, I'm not saying I'm hoping that I don't win the trophy, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for him if he didn't.
I wouldn't argue with that. In fact, it might inspire him. He might go on and have a better career because of it. I mean, is it similar to the SI curse, being predicted number one before the year? Is it similar to the Madden cover curse? Is that what you're comparing it
You
to?
can make an argument. You could make an argument. I just think that there are fewer Heisman Trophy winners that pan out in the NFL than there are that don't.
A lot of times, Heisman Trophy winners don't even play well in the bowl games. They tend to struggle in the NFL. So it's not always a great thing. I'm just saying, in my opinion, as far as who deserves it, I think he deserves it. I think you're a Notre Dame guy. That's why you go towards Teo. I think he's the best story of the year, just not the most outstanding player.
Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner.
God, I wish he would have played in the NFL.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been fun?
Oh, man.
It was mediocre with the Knicks. I think he would have been fun to watch in the NFL. We've talked about that on
To
the
me,
show.
he was Robert Griffin before Robert Griffin.
Right?
I mean, he could run, he could throw, he could do it all.